They're connected. Hello, hello, hello. It's so good to see you. We're talking about mental health and diabetes in our little live chat today. Not going to hold you long, but what I want to know from you is, have you ever connected the fact that your diabetes may be driven by mental health concerns? I'm going to give you a mic drop moment. I do not have I have my podcast mic, but I'm not dropping it. I'm not dropping this mic. But why is it that you have uncontrolled diabetes? And did you know that it may be related to a mental health condition? Where am I pulling this from? You're going to miss this at first, and then I'm going to drop it on you. Why do you think your diabetes may be related to your mental health? Stress, that's what most people would say, and that is an internal medicine way to think. Because yes, stress increases cortisol, and cortisol is going to increase your sugar, and it is in the moment going to make your diabetes worse. And if you're living with chronic stress, you're getting closer. If you're living with chronic stress, then your cortisol level is going to be abnormally high for a little bit longer. And yes, it can increase the likelihood that you have diabetes, and it can increase the likelihood that it's going to be harder to control your diabetes. Clap, clap, clap for my students in the room who already knew that. Very good. I'm glad. Very, very good. But what's another reason? Think like a psychiatrist. What's another reason that your diabetes is connected to your mental health? And why is that such an issue? Do, 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 do. Hit a discordant note there. It's because of the trauma. If you've got underlying abuse, if you've got underlying trauma, according to the ACEs study long time ago, one really good thing that I think that Kaiser did, they do a lot of things wrong, but one of the good things that they did is that they reached out, well, actually, it wasn't they. It was a physician who did a lot of work in bariatric surgeries and in weight loss medicine. And that physician started noticing that he would help people lose weight. He would help them with their bariatric surgeries. They would lose a buttload of weight, then they'd gain it back. And he couldn't understand why a person can go through all the process of getting pre-approved for bariatric surgery, going through all the little classes that you got to go through for bariatric surgery, change the way that you eat, change the way you diet, change the way you live for your bariatric surgery or your weight loss, your GLP-1 inhibitors, whatever you're doing, you can lose all the weight. And then these women were coming back, because most of them were women, they were coming back and he couldn't figure out, why did they lose all this weight but then gain it right back? What's going on? And when he looked, he came up with something in conjunction with Kaiser Permanente called the ACEs scale, Adverse Childhood Events. And what he found was that there were women who had these adverse childhood events that even if they lost weight and got their diabetes under control later in life, they'd gain the weight back for a lot of different reasons. Not my story to tell, but I have spoken to several people, mostly women again, who have purposely put weight on. So I'm not going to give all the details of their story, but they have purposely put weight on, and it turned out that they had a history of trauma or abuse. And they put the weight on because they wanted to be less attractive. Subconsciously and consciously, in some cases, they wanted to be less attractive. Now, I don't ask you to share these videos a lot because I think the information that I'm sharing is helpful, but I don't always think it's of equal weight and importance. I come on here usually Monday through Friday, except for Thursdays when I'm seeing patients. And I've been doing that since the month of March. Okay. That is coming to a close, and I'm going to be switching to just once a week online. But when I do come on here, because I come on so much and I'm trying to get all the information I'm trying to share, it's all good and it's all valid, but it's not meant for everybody. Every lesson, every teaching is not meant for everybody. Today is not that day. Today, I do want you to share this broadcast. Today, if you are seeing this and you're listening, I want you to share this broadcast. Everybody that you can possibly share with, share it on all the channels that you possibly can. Because right now, we are in a mental health pandemic. I've already told you that before. But there are a lot of people that don't recognize that the majority of the work that you're doing right now to look better, feel better, get healthier, get rid of that chronic illness, treat your diabetes, get rid of the diabetes. I hate to tell you about 80% of that, you're wasting your time. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And there's a part of me that's just kind of like, I just told them they're wasting their time. They're going to feel bad and they're going to become hopeless and then just give up. Don't do that. Don't do that. But what I am telling you is that the reason your efforts are in vain, we're specifically talking about diabetes, but for many of you, the reason your efforts are in vain is because there is an underlying history of trauma, abuse, or an adverse childhood event that has not been addressed. Please hear me. If you address the underlying issue, the other stuff will be easier. I'm not saying easy, but it will be easier. You're trying to figure out your diet changes. You're trying to deal with whether or not you should take the GLP-1 inhibitor. You're trying to have a conversation and decide about whether or not you want to go through that bariatric surgery or that weight loss surgery. Let me tell you, you might need to do a little bit of soul searching to figure out what's the underlying issue. Is it a wounded child syndrome? Let's go through the ACEs, some of the ACEs very, very quickly, because if you are positive, honestly, in 2 or more, that you have a significantly increased risk of certain chronic illnesses and chronic conditions, including diabetes. That's one of the number one ones. But also high blood pressure, cancer, cardiac illness. This is important, friends. The ACE, adverse childhood experiences. If you test positive or acknowledge 2 or more, increased risk of all of those things that I just mentioned. So obviously on that list is child abuse and neglect. It's going to ask you about physical abuse. It's going to ask you about sexual abuse. Each one counts as a point. Neglect counts as a point. If you feel like you were not loved, if you feel like you didn't have enough food to eat, if you feel like people weren't there for you. Any of those 3, boom. If you got all 3 of those, you're already at increased risk. Not the end of the world, but you're just at increased risk, which means that you have to deal with the underlying issue first before you decide to do anything else. Deal with the underlying issue first. Chronic pain, deal with the underlying issue. Diabetes, deal with the underlying issue. Because if you deal with the underlying issues and not just trauma therapy, friends, grief therapy, because when there is a loss, you need to acknowledge it and mourn it and grieve. Yeah, we may get to the celebration later, but we have to do those things, okay? Otherwise, it becomes unresolved grief, and then we have other problems. So those were 3 of them. If someone in your household went to jail, that's one of them. If your parents were separated or divorced, that's another one. See how they're adding up? Yes. If this is an issue, go Google ACEs, ACE, put in adverse childhood experiences. And I can promise you, and I'll make a lot of promises up here because y'all be trying to come after folks, and we just trying to provide information and help you live a little better. But that's a different conversation. But I promise you, if you go and look up your ACEs and you see that you're positive on any one of them, if you make the choice and the decision to start dealing with the trauma or the grief associated with them, a lot of those life goals that you're trying to achieve, it's gonna be an easier process. It's going to be an easier process because you're not going to be doing the heavyweight lifting alone. Because now you're lifting with additional information. Now you're lifting with additional education. Okay. Are you hearing me? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay, good. Because I got another live to do, and I'm not going to stay on this one for any longer than this. But I will say TikTok, I'll keep you going because you're already there. But for my folks that are over here on Instagram and my folks that are over here on Facebook and whatnot, I will tell you, I want you to do what I just told you to do. Okay. It's your choice. You have the choice. You got the bandwidth to do whatever, Free Black and 21, do whatever the heck you want to do. You're not Black and 21, well, whoever you are, however you are, whatever color or non-color you rock with or roll with, you have free will and choice. So do what you want to do. But my recommendation, my word of encouragement, okay, I don't do recommendations unless you're my patient, but my word of encouragement, go look up the ACE, see if you've got any positive issues, deal with those issues, and then it will make whatever other goal you are trying to achieve in this life, it's going to make it easier. It's going to make it easier, right? Because think about it like a boxing match. If I can box with 2 fists, I'm on a level playing field, hopefully. If you tie one hand behind my back, you've put me at potentially a disadvantage. That's what it's like trying to achieve your goals and do things and get out of the diabetes situation, the rabbit circle, the hamster wheel, is trying to get off of that with weight loss surgery or GLP-1 without dealing with the underlying issues. It's like trying to fight with your hand tied behind your back. Not saying you can't do it. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, but why would you purposely tie your hand behind your back? Get the information and go and get some freedom. Okay, 4th of July is coming up. So for those that celebrate it, go get free. Go be free. And that's a wrap. You guys have a very blessed day on purpose. Y'all